Okay, so a lot of people are jumping on the replay because we're well aware that it's an awkward time. There's never a good time to be able to try and run a webinar, and that's why we record them and send the recording out to the people who are unable to make it for the live. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started, and I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to get started with our Empowered Separation webinar. I'm just going to move me out of the way. Why are you not working? Okay, so first of all, I just want to say that this is a safe place. So we are all here for the same reason, and that is because we are either in currently a family law situation, we are thinking about maybe leaving a relationship and having to explore what family law looks like. And you're all at different stages. This has to be a safe place. You can't see somebody on here and go, oh, I saw this person on the webinar, they must be thinking about leaving or something like that. So please just know that this is a safe place. It is a place that we need to respect one another because it's just a family law is, it can be a very hard time for people, and it can be the biggest life event that you might have aside from, maybe getting married or getting with your partner in the first place. So we just need to make sure that we respect one another. Now, this is me. I have many tools under my belt, and I continue to add things under my belt, but some people like to see what the qualifications are, and I'm more than qualified to be able to have this webinar today. So first of all, I did a Bachelor of Legal and Justice Studies and a Bachelor of Law in 2008, 2009. I was admitted as a lawyer in 2010. In 2015, I was admitted under the High Court. That's the legal side, and that's like I've taken a soft turn the past few years. So there's other things that I've done as well. But last year, I became a head and heart mindfulness instructor. I also studied under Marisa Peer and became a RTT therapist and a certified hypnotherapist. I also became a collaborative family law coach, and I'm currently doing other things now as well. So many things under my belt, and it's all relevant. Family law is more than just about the law, and I have definitely learned that over the years. So so many things under my belt, doing other things at the moment as well, but it's all to be able to serve you all better, train myself to understand why things occur, how to deal with emotions when they come up. So really loving everything that I'm doing to complement my law degree, but there's just a few things there. So now you are in the right place if you want to empower yourself in a separation. You want to settle out of court, and you want to save as much money as possible in legal fees. So if you are wanting to play the victim, this is probably not the right place for you, nor is my service or my course. I don't like to empower people who want to be victims. I want you to be able to be empowered. I want you to be able to come at this the other side stronger than what you ever have been, and having new goals and new direction in that next phase of your life. If you're wanting to take your ex to court and drain them for everything that you've got, I am not the person for that either. I can assure you that there are people out there that do that, and that again is not me. The only people that win when you go to court are usually the lawyers, because the legal fees are ridiculously high. Sometimes a judge will get cranky at you as well if something ends up at court, because they're like, you're wasting my time. Why are you here? You don't need to be here. And I want to save you as much as I possibly can in legal fees. I want that money to go to you and your family, and not to me. So obviously there'll be legal fees involved, but I want them to be on the cheaper end of the scale than having to make you spend money on processes that I feel can be taught throughout for example, empowered separation. So you have that knowledge going into it, what's to be expected and what we're going to ask of you. So the agenda today, so we're going to understand what separation is and what it looks like, the emotional impact, the legal and financial considerations, communication during a separation, even before the separation. Usually most separations happen because their communication has broken down. Self-care during a separation, support systems, and some coping strategies. So these are only going to be touched on really briefly today. In my course, which I'll discuss later on, we discuss all of this and we discuss heaps of other things as well. I had a meeting today and I've got 2 more masterclasses that are being recorded shortly with some amazing people to be added to the course as well. So, yeah, it's good. So, essentially separation is a 3-part process, and that probably sounds really simple, and I want to make it simple because there's just so many different moving parts in a separation. So part 1, I guess we have that separation. So you have either had a relationship breakdown or you're looking to end a relationship and you're doing your due diligence as to what that looks like. Then there is a legal process. So some people don't do the legal process, and from my perspective, I don't agree with that, and I can go into the pros and cons, and I do go into that in my course. It's like, okay, so you're separated and these are the options that you have available and here are the pros and cons. So I'm not going to tell you not to not do anything if that's what you choose, but there are consequences of not taking up that legal process. And these kind of empowerment should be all the way through your separation, and that's definitely how I would like to see it. I want to see you come out empowered at the other end. I don't want you to be coming out playing the victim. I don't want you to be broken. I don't want you to think that life is not worth living. I don't want you to think that you're a bad parent. I don't want any of that. Separation does not define you, and each separation is different. So please don't even base your separation on somebody else. Somebody is always going to have an opinion. You're always going to be wrong in somebody's eyes, and whilst they might be trying to help, their situation is not your situation. So each of these 3 processes are equally as important. Seems very simple, and it is very simple because that is pretty well it. We have the separation, we've got the legal stuff, and then we come out the other end. So time frame is for everybody. I'm not saying we don't be here today, there tomorrow, and then on the weekend we're done. That's not how that works. But I find that breaking it down into simple stages helps people along that journey. So understanding separation. So it could be separation, could be for a de facto couple. So that means people that are living together that are not married. It could be for a married couple. As I said before, and I had already touched on it, separation is different for everybody. Your separation is going to be different to that friend that has separated, to that neighbour, to that work colleague, to that person on the mum and dad's group in your local community or something, going on their rant and rave about what their separation was like. Now, it's not always going to be rainbows and unicorns. The majority of our matters settle out of court. Very few go down that court process. Sometimes it is needed. The majority of the time, you don't need to utilise the courts, and you don't need to keep spending money in the courts. And when you hit the courts, it's really, really delayed. Like, it might be 12 months until you even get to a hearing. So you're looking at 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years to be able to resolve something. So we definitely try to stay out of the court system. And in the courts, we go through what that separation looks like and what processes there are, because there probably are processes that you're not aware of. You're probably just used to going to a lawyer, they're telling you what to do, and then that's it. When you come to us, we're like, okay, so these are the options. Here are the pros and cons of these options. Tell me your thoughts. So we're not going to tell you have to do it this way. So yeah, just try and bear in mind, you kind of like Dr. Googling. Try not to Dr. Google Sometimes that can do more harm than good. So please make sure that if you are kind of Dr. Googling, that you do get your information from a very secure source and not just somebody ranting and raving on social media through one of the local community sites that, you know, us lawyers are bad and we aren't in it for the money and your divorce would be terrible and all of that. That's their opinion. So, and if you go into it with those preconceived ideas, then there's every chance yours could be the same way. And that's definitely not what we want. So there's obviously a lot of emotions that come into play, and you know, it's grieving. It's like, you know, you've lost a loved one, you've lost a relationship. So there are many emotions, and those emotions are not right and they're not wrong. They are just what you feel, and you might be feeling all emotions at one stage. You might be happy one day, sad the next, angry the next, depressed the next, frustrated, anxious. You know, the list goes on, and to feel all of those emotions is completely fine. But if you find that you get to a point where you need help, you need to reach out. We've had clients that have suicided. We've got clients now that we're worried about. They can't get into counselling. They, you know, they're kind of like on waiting lists. So I can appreciate that is all really hard as well. And I'm not a counsellor. It's on my list of things to do, but that list is never ending, and I can't do everything and do all the things that I would like to do. But part of that course is that you do have that community, that safe, secure community, where if you're having a bad day, you can, you know, just say, oh, I'm having a really bad day, where, you know, the mindfulness techniques that we have in there, the master classes that we have and that we have coming up. You know, we've got one on another one on self-care and some me time coming up, and dealing with all of those emotions. They are all things that might not be legal, but all things that affect anybody in a family law situation. So hopefully you have people that you can lean on and that you can trust. If not, that's definitely what we intend to do in Empowered Separation. But yeah, it's normal to feel all those emotions, and my goal is to have so much information in the course that you have something there if you need to express those emotions, or you know you're so low that you know you need to kind of, okay, well, what can I do? Okay, I'll take this day to sit in the movies and sit in the lounge and watch movies with my kids, and then tomorrow I'm going to wake up a different person. Like, there's going to be so many resources that you can use for self-care and mindfulness in particular in the course that you can use. But yeah, please note that emotions completely normal. We would recommend you try not to take the emotion out on your partner. We don't recommend that you bag your partner out or your ex in front of the kids. You don't want to be that person, but it is a lot to take in, and that's definitely, you know, something that I have seen over the years, and something that I definitely want to try and help you with through that next stage for you. So you always say don't react with emotion. Easier said than done. I used to most certainly react with emotion, especially if I got somebody on the other side that wasn't very pleasant. I think I'll say having kids could have changed me. I don't think that was the case at all. I think I just realized that there's better ways of being able to do things. So just know that you are going to be feeling emotions, and they are completely normal, but please do reach out to Lifeline or something like that if you feel that you need a bit of urgent care. Now, something else we discussed in Empowered Separation is the legal and financial considerations. So we also have masterclasses in relation to, at the end of your settlement, you might have a sum of money and you're not quite sure what to do with that. So we have professionals on there that can, hey, you know, have you considered doing this with your money? So we've got that advice in there. The legal, so I mentioned before, we go through what those different legal stages could look like, and we don't tell you what one to do. We say, here are your options. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? The financial part of it, obviously comes into play as well. We discussed different ways that family law can be funded. It's said that a standard family law matter is around $13,000. I would say that's very dependent upon the type of matter and the type of people that you are dealing with. That is probably a reasonably consensual, low conflict type of separation, and you might get lucky to be under that. If you are dealing with narcissists, that is a different story, whether that is your ex or whether that is your ex's lawyer, because not all lawyers are created equal and everybody practices differently. So you do have those lawyers who are just not into any of this. They're not interested. They're not interested in learning at different ways that we can collaborate to have a family law matter. It's this way, that's it. So so my goal is to get it as cheap as possible for you, in that I want to be able to educate you in relation to what are all these different stages. And a lot of the initial meetings are based on that education and what your options are. And if you can go into essentially your first meeting with a lawyer, and whether that's us or whether that's somebody else, and go, right, so I know that this is the process. Here's what you need from me. This is the type of process that I would like to take. Is this something you can help me with or not? You're going to go in there with much more confidence. Whoever you choose, as long as they're into this type of collaborative practice, will go, awesome, yep, that's fine. You've done everything. You've kind of, you've gathered all the documents that we need. You've thought about maybe what the split possibly looks like. It's not the standard 50-50 split. I don't know where that's come from. It's kind of just, 50-50. Well, no, there's so many things that have to get taken into account. So if you're going into that initial meeting and you've thought about all this stuff already, you are just heading off on that right foot, and you are so much more better place than what you would be had you not have educated yourself in relation to the process. Now, communication is something else that we discuss in the course as well. We've got a masterclass on dealing with difficult people and having those difficult conversations. So as I said, I'm really trying to make Empowered Separation that one-stop shop for everything. And it's taken me so long to launch it because there's just so many different moving factors with separation. And I'll discuss a little bit more that I just had to do it, but it's going to be just added to and added to. I don't think the course is ever going to be able to be stopped because there's just so many different things out there. But communication is really important. So most relationships break down because that communication has ceased. You've become complacent, especially if you've been together for quite a long time. That communication's not there. Then it gets to a point of snapping at each other, and then, it kind of goes downhill from there. The lines of communication still need to be there. So depending upon your circumstances, if there's DV involved, that might be a little bit different. But you want to be that stronger person. You want to be that calm person. You don't want to be that person that is going off in front of the kids, or you're going off to the kids about your ex, because that is not going to serve you well in the separation at all. That is also going to harm the kids. Like people say they're young, they don't remember things. Children definitely do remember things. So, and they pretty well remember things word for word, and you will get thrown under the bus. And that's definitely not what we want. So the lines of communication, we really recommend where possible for them to be open with your partner or your ex, with whatever team you have employed. So whether that's your accountant has to get involved, financial advisor, your lawyer, counselor, therapist, whatever it is, those lines of communication need to be there. If you were struggling at any point in time, I want to know about it. Or I would, if I was your lawyer, I would want to know about it. And that's what I said recently. We've had some people that we have been worried about. We have been successful in getting them in very quickly to speak to people where they didn't have access to. And that's not where we want you to get to. And if you get to it, we want to be able to refer you to somebody really, really quickly, because they're both on waiting lists for weeks and for months. So if at any point you are struggling, if you are my client, I will want to know about it, and I will be stopping the whatever is happening. If we're in the middle of a property settlement, I would be stopping it and saying, right, we need to stop this for a moment. We need to get healthy again before we can continue on with this journey. So super important, those lines of communication are open and they're clear and they're honest. So self-care is probably something that we take for granted, and I'm getting better at it. And I'm not saying take a week off and go overseas and have no internet. If you're in a position to do that, that's great. But little things each day can add up. So in Empowered Separation, we discuss self-care. As I said, we've got another masterclass coming up about self-care or me time, which I'm really excited about. And there's some other resources in there as well. But, it could be taking 5 minutes a day to be sitting outside. It might be, if you live near the beach, it might be just sitting at the beach for 5 minutes before you pick the kids up from school or after you drop the kids off. It might be taking a bath. It might be washing your hair. I think mine's kind of filled with dry shampoo at the moment. So sometimes even washing your hair can just make you feel better. So it's just little things like that become even more important. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Important in that separation. And again, not having that kind of self-care me time before separation can also lead to separation. You kind of work out what you do in a day. You might be waking up, you might be getting ready, you might be getting the kids ready, you might be making their lunches, taking them to the bus stop, taking them to school, then you're going to work, then having to leave work early to go pick up the kids, then you got to run them around to sport, and you got to come home, and then you have to cook tea, and then you have to do washing, then you have to do ironing, then you have to feed the dogs. It doesn't end. It can really, really add up. So taking that time pre-separation, depending on where you're at, can make the difference on separation. And even having that communication, it's like, right, like I do all of this stuff, and all I do is see you come home from work and sit on the butt and watch TV, and like just rattled off everything that I've done today. Like, can we have some help? Can you please just do the dishes? And, I'm happy to do everything else and cook, but if you just do the dishes, that's one less thing I have to worry about. Can you just go feed the dogs? So in time, I'd like to have like a whole course on you not even getting to the separation stage. It's just building that relationship. But again, I would love to do all the things and I can't. So I have many things on my to-do list, but self-care pre-separation and definitely during and after is just really, really important. So we discussed that as well. The support system. So I did touch on this briefly. So having people that you can turn to is really important. Some lawyers probably don't want to care whether you're going well or not. I'm probably a little bit different, and I want to make sure that you're okay. And I'm pretty good at detecting if someone is struggling, and I go, right, my gut's telling me that we need to get you some help. There is no shame in this whatsoever. And a lot of people think that there's shame with reaching out to a therapist or a counsellor, and it's not. It is not at all. So if you don't have those support systems, and we do provide that in Empowered Separation as well. So we're not 24-hour counsellors. I'm not available 24 hours. It's not that. It's just having that space with people who are going through that same process, bearing in mind each process is unique and different, but you'll all be going through similar things, and the emotions would probably be similar as well. But having people around you that you know and that trust and that will support you is really important. It's having the right people. You don't want to have, I've seen settlements go wrong because people have relied on people that might not have been the best people to be relied upon. They might be narcissists. They might just be toxic people, not nice people. And settlements have changed because they've aligned themselves with people who say, you need to get more, you deserve more. And I'm not saying that you don't deserve more and that you, whatever that circumstance is, I'm not saying that, but it's more of a revenge. You need to get revenge, especially if there's cheating involved. And you know what? You don't. And if you want to get revenge, then again, I'm not going to be the right lawyer for you. But it's just making sure that you have the right people in your court and not aligning yourself with people who might take advantage of you or make you feel worse about yourself, because we definitely don't want that. Now, coping strategies. So this is probably similar to what I've discussed as well, but we also discuss coping strategies. And I won't spend too much time on this because I think I've already kind of gone into it, but everybody copes differently. Separation is, often referred to as similar to losing a loved one through a death. You got that whole grievance, so that grievance period as well, like you do if you did lose a loved one through death. So we go through the coping strategies, and really that comes into the me days of self-care, the mindfulness. It's all of that. Everybody copes differently. Everybody is at different speeds. Some people show emotion, some people don't. I'm probably more a person that doesn't, and I don't know if I would recommend that, because sometimes I fall in a heap and then it all comes out. Like I've saved it up for this big occasion and then all of a sudden I'm really emotional. So it's going through just what suggestions for you and takeaways, like, yep, I hadn't thought about that before. I like this part, I don't like that part, but I can see me doing this type thing. So very important that you just have ways of being able to cope during that separation. And as I said, that is something that we definitely have on our side as well, so that we share throughout the course. That I wouldn't say is necessarily something a lawyer would do, but I'm not your standard lawyer, I suppose. So I guess the moral of my story is that you can have an empowered separation if you want one, and that is the path that you choose. You can have one. As I mentioned, if you're wanting revenge, if you're wanting to use your children as pawn, if you are not interested in any collaborative, holistic settlement, I want to go straight to court, I am not your person. My firm is not for you, and my business is not for you either. We are not the people for you. If you do want to have holistic ways to settle, if you do want to be empowered in your separation, then we are definitely for you, and you can have it. As I said, I'm not saying it's going to be rainbows and unicorns. There could be days where it is rainbows and unicorns, but there could be days where it's not. But we are all there doing it together, and I promise you that I will just be, it probably will be information overload. I will be putting as much as I possibly can into that, with different scenarios, different masterclasses, different coping mechanisms, different everything that I come across, so I can support you in this separation, whether you choose to lose us as a lawyer or not. So empowered separation has been coming for a little while. The reason that I had struggled to launch it was because there is so many moving parts with separation. So as I said before, it could just go on forever. And I had to hit a point where I'm like, okay, I need to launch this, and it's pretty well going to be done in stages. So it is out there ready to go at the moment. What it's looking at the moment is just those early initial days where it's kind of that first meeting or two with a lawyer. And then we have masterclasses that we're currently in the process of filming, and heaps of other things are getting added to it. But what I can describe it at the moment is just what those initial stages are. And that is why it's at the price of $297. So that's like half my legal hourly rate. So that is like my time for half an hour, and you're getting heaps more than half an hour out of the course. So it's at the $297 intro price, just because we're at those initial stages. Now, there is heaps more that is getting added to it. You don't have to pay anything else. You still get the bonus of that $297 plus anything additional that we add in there, because the price will go up as we keep adding things to it. We also have a 3-month payment plan. We can pay $107 over 3 months to break up that $297. It works out a little bit dearer, but I don't think it's too much. What's in there at the moment is we already have modules, we have lessons, we have some masterclasses, we'll have live calls once a month, we'll have a Facebook community. I appreciate not everybody is on Facebook, but majority of people probably would have seen me through social media marketing. So Facebook is the group that we will kind of meet and have like lives. I suppose if that doesn't work, I might do Zooms. We'll see how we go with it. But you're going to have that community and you're going to have access to everything for 18 months, because hopefully your separation will be finalized within that time. If you need additional time, reach out to us and we can extend that for you. But the bonus of getting it at the $297 intro price is that you're getting those initial stages. Excuse me, got the hiccups again, plus everything else that we add in the future. And I said, I literally have like a sheet here of masterclasses that we need to book in to film with some amazing people. So I definitely want it to be that one-stop shop to just support you and give you that empowerment in your separation. So you know the types of scenarios that can take place, you know, how it works. You're not hearing it from some mums and bubs group online, which not saying that they're not good value. They definitely are, but you just need to be careful where you get your advice from, because someone's separation doesn't mean that your separation is going to be the same as theirs. But I really will be trying to get it to be that one-stop shop for everything for you. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how long it's going to stay at $297 for. I think when we add probably double what we have in there at the moment, the price probably will increase. But as I said, yeah, $297 for everything for the moment. My hourly rate's nearly $600. So to me, that's like half hour of my time, but you're getting so much more than half hour in empowered separation. So we have some testimonials. So this is from Cole, very knowledgeable, experienced and dedicated team. I could not recommend them highly enough. So we have another one. So Ali is my lawyer at Aqua Legal. She took care of Kelly. So Ali was so helpful and calming throughout my whole legal separation, made my stressful separation that it's meant to be a bit easier. Ali helped a long drawn out process that didn't need to come to an end with a result that I was happy with. So both Cole and Kelly had completely different scenarios in their separation, but both were very happy in the end. And it's not about winning or losing, it's getting something at the end that you're happy with. Sometimes there is compromise, but at the end of the day, it's you walking away knowing that you're happy with the result. Now, I put this in, we all laugh when we see this, but please don't be this person. Funny to look at, but this will hurt you more than the person whose car that you trash, because this will get brought up in a separation. So think about doing it. Maybe virtually do it on a car, or draw a car and on a piece of paper and write on it like cheetah whore or something. But please try to be the bigger person, because I can assure you that it's going to work for you much better. Yeah, and don't like resort to doing anything like this, please. Okay to think about. Please don't do. So just to recap, I'm putting it down to a 3-step process. We have those initial stages of a separation. We've got that legal process, whatever path you choose for that. And, we have that empowerment that you'll be going throughout that whole entire process, but definitely coming out empowered at the other end. So I make it sound simple, and I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. But yeah, and that's it. So I am on social media. I have a website, which is staceymunzenberger.com. My email is stacey@staceymunzenberger.com. I'm on Instagram. I'll come off there. So it's Stacey Munzenberger, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. I think that's it. So, so please do reach out. If you have any questions at all, we will send through the replay, and send you through a link if you would like to sign up to the course. Please feel free to not necessarily share the webinar, because the webinar should only be shared with people who have registered for the webinar today. But if you think that there is somebody who might benefit from this, please just get them to go to our website and sign up for our next webinar. I'm hoping to run them each month, and I have selected some dates. I just need to make sure that they work. I'll get them to follow on socials. The course is open. It's open all the time. It's not limited to when you can join. So if they want to go straight to the course, they can do that through our website as well. But other than that, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. And so thank you very much to the people who will be watching the replay, and thank you to registering for the webinar, having your trust in me. I've had some email conversations with some of you, and you all seem very lovely and really wanting to have that empowerment in a separation, which is lovely to see, because it's definitely possible. And so any questions at all, please do reach out. And have a lovely day, and I'll talk to you again later.